I did make all these slides. However, I don't know if I'll get through all of them. So we shall see. I guess Arya's on the way too. I could wait for Arya and give her till 20 at top of the hour. If I do end early, we could do a Q&A. If any people have questions about stuff. So yeah. But thanks everyone for coming. Thanks to Crystal and AetherCon for giving me the opportunity to do this. Crystal didn't bring it up during media tour. She was just kind of like, "Hey, like, you want to come to AetherCon?" And I was like, "I have no idea what that is." So I was like, but she was like, "Oh, okay." But then we hit it off pretty well. So she asked me again afterwards. So I was like, okay. At that point, I had looked up what it was. So. Well, asking me anything. Yeah, it's literally anime. It doesn't have to. Yeah, it doesn't have to be even related to FF14. Or you say that at the beginning of every class too. That's funny. Yeah. Once I get into panel mode, I probably won't really chat that much, but I'll take a glance at it. Chances are I'll probably just go off the cuff anyways. People on stream, you see what's on screen, right? The welcome. You see two Solens. One Solen is slightly bigger than the other. Oh, you're present in the audience? Oh, nice. Let me see. Let me switch back to the. In the middle of all this, if the sound is too weird, let me know. Like any audio issues, please let me know. I'll fix it on the fly. Let's see. This is what our crowd looks like right now. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Nice and virtual. Yeah, lopsided Solens. Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for people showing up. 3B representing. 3B in the house. Love to see it. Alright, back to this though. Oof. Looks like some characters I recognize. Oh, I haven't seen Izzy's ult in a while. Actually, I remember this ult. It's funny. Alright, we'll give it a. Actually, let's get started. Like Arya can arrive late. She could be fashionably late. So let's get started with the panel. So again, thank you for having me. Thank you for choosing to spend your Saturday evening here. Could be anywhere else, but it's here, so thank you. We got a pretty good tier. This first tier for Dawn Trail. So got a lot of people enjoying it. Who's enjoying this tier? I'm having a good time with it. You know, I'm going in there extracurricularly, getting a lot of extra footage for guides too, but just kind of doing it for fun a lot. So PF is a pretty big component in my gameplay life in 14. So I figured a topic like this is very up my alley. On top of the guide making part too. So I have a question for y'all. Who is familiar? Does this look familiar to you? This next picture I'm about to show you. Does this look familiar to you by any chance? If this looks familiar to you, either give me a / nod in game or type 1 in stream chat. If this picture is familiar. Do you not like this picture? Is it because you are in the picture? Is this you that is depicted in this image and you do not like it? Out of curiosity, who has never done PF in here? Is there anyone in this chat or in this audience that's never done Party Finder at all? Like any by any capacity? Whether it's not even Savage or EX Trials, like just anything. You know? Because I'm wondering if there's actually people that have never done PF. Did PF during coil? Because like there's some data centers like Japan that they don't use PF at all, right? It's like hearing that's pretty surprising, but it does exist. So. Okay, so sounds like most people have PF'd. So in that case, do tell me this then. If you ever had a bad time in PF, give me a /furious or /angry in game, or give me like a 1 in chat. If you ever had a bad experience in PF. Oh yeah, there we go. I see the ones, yeah. I think that's proper. Okay, on the flip side though, if you ever had a good experience in Party Finder, give me a 2. Or give me like a happy, you know, happy in the audience / happy. Any good experience, really. No. Had both. Okay. Aether hype. Okay, I see some nodders. I see some emotes. I see it too. Okay, yeah. So same for me. So it's both. You know, it's both. It's definitely both. Probably more weighted towards on the bad side though, admittedly. But okay, so moving on. So yeah, so today's panel is titled this, right? C41 watch the guide, aka what it takes to make a guide for the chaotic streets of PF. It's a long title. I kind of came up with it on a whim. Crystal was like, I need a title for your panel. So I was like, So I came up with it. So it is this, but today we'll cover a bunch of topics. It won't be just about guides per se. It'll be a lot about how PF functions, mostly on the NA side, what kind of dynamics to expect, and why I make guides a certain way because of the way PF is. So it's kind of a combination of both. So it's just as much as a panel about Party Finder, just as much about guide making. So yeah. So with that out of the way, formal introductions. This is me. This is Joon. In FF14, you might know me as Joonbob. I'm the guy that makes the Savage Tier guides occasionally, super flashy guides. You might know me if you're on Twitter. You might have seen this video. You might have seen this little guy. What's the gameplay? You might have seen some cheeky tweet about a cunty video opening or something. You might have seen this here. Funny enough, whenever this gets tweeted, I never get added back at my my Twitter. So next time you post this, plug this, I appreciate if you add me back. Just saying. Also in game, you might know me as Van Clancy. That's me right here in the audience. Also, you might know me more recently as the character on above me, the much more cuter iteration. This is my alt character, Solan Belize. I do play her time to time. She's kind of our mascot. So again, I was debating if I show up as Van or Solan today, but I think Van is more representative of me. So maybe don't have a different name on each platform. True. So there's that. So to go into a little bit of my background in terms of video games and all that, and also my profession. So people wonder about this a bit too. So without going into too much detail of my professional life, I've been an illustrator and motion designer and editor since about 2009, mostly self-taught. So I've done a bunch of things in the industry, whether it's corporate stuff like TV, entertainment, done a bit of sports. I've been around. Sometimes freelance, sometimes with staff. And then these are all skill sets that I picked up over time. I started with illustration and design, and eventually I wanted to dive into more movement. So I learned editing and motion design myself. So and then been working with that since, and now I do YouTube and make guides for 14 on my free time. But I guess it's work now technically. There's that. So video game wise, prior to FF14, that's me right there. About when was that? This is a 2014 or 15 photo. I used to play a lot of competitive fighting games. I used to travel across the country to play games that I liked and compete in them relatively seriously. Nothing too big. Usually the games I played were very small. The one I was known for was a Capcom game called Vampire Savior. The arm is so huge. So some people know me through that circle. And I've also made some tutorial videos and exhibition videos in that community too. So some people might know me through my name there and some of the videos through there. Also, I've also ran handful of my own local tournaments, local events for various games. So I've had my share of kind of maintaining and starting a community before 14. So I did all of that. So technically when I came into 14, I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to kind of just exist in the game and not have to do anything. But I ended up making guides and streaming and stuff. So kind of couldn't be helped, I guess. So next up, and yeah, so before fighting games, I kind of played all my life, but competitively I didn't start till maybe 2004, but I've always played all my life. Before that, I also played a lot of RPGs and MMORPGs. The big one I played before 14 was FF11. That was probably the big one. After I played 11 though, I decided I need to be on a MMO ban because I realized what kind of time it takes up and what I'm capable of when I play a game like that. When I'm like, you know, like knee deep in it, I'm like locked in. 11 was that kind of game too. 11 was a game you kind of had to invest your life in. And at the time I had the free time to do it, but I realized once I got to a state where I needed to do other stuff like work or schoolwork, I was like, I can't do this. I put myself on a ban, but it didn't matter because I ended up doing I ended up doing this instead, so it didn't really matter at the end of the day. So other than the 11, I've played like all kinds of Korean MMOs. I was living in Korea at the time, so I played KRO when it was new. I played a handful of other Korean MMOs like Tales Weaver, you know, what's another one, like Mabinogi, right? All the free stuff. And then if we're talking about American side, I've tried like Guild Wars 1, City of Heroes. If we're going back on the JP side, I played PSO 1 on launch, Fantasy Star Online. I played that on Dreamcast. I played 2 when it was new in Japan. I played on the Japanese server. So I've dabbled, just never like stuck around long enough to like get serious in it. Even 11, I played very casually, even though I played for a long time. I started since Zillar era, so launch of US. I stopped around, I want to say like Author Gone, I think. That's where I stopped. But even then, I never really played that hardcore. I never played like the end game stuff. I never did the equivalent of raiding in 11. I was very casual. I was happy to exist in there. Eventually, this little game came along. So this game came along and I started. So technically I started 2 weeks before Stormblood came out. 2 to 3 weeks. I actually started around Heaven's Ward. I actually had no idea the expansion was coming out. I didn't know expansion was hitting. I just kind of bought the game and then like kind of ignored all the promotional material that was like up in everyone's face, I guess. Trailers and stuff. Stormblood's coming out in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and I didn't know. So there was a weird moment where I had all these skills from Heaven's Ward and then the next week it was all gone. So it was very surprising. So this is where I started, and this is where I started to raid too. After I got caught up to MSQ, the raid tier I started was Delta Escape. One of the entry points for this game for me was this old guy here. I'm a big fan of Matsuno and Ivalice, that whole world. So like Tactics, Vagrant Story, just anything Matsuno makes, I'm there. I'm probably the only person on the planet that's bought a 3DS because of Crimson Shroud. Does anyone in chat know what that game is, Crimson Shroud? Press 0 if you don't know Crimson Shroud. It's like this little mini one scenario game they made for JP only at first, but they put on the eShop, right? 000. They put on the eShop in English. They translate to English, so they're like, once I heard that it was gonna be the eShop for English, that's why I bought 3DS. It's literally for that game. It's not a great game, but it's a charming game, so I got that. So when I was shown this image, Return to Ivalice, by a friend that was already playing 14 since AR, and he was like, and he knows I like FFT and Matsuno, and he was like, Joon, it's time. And I had no idea what this meant. I didn't know what Alliance Raid was. I had no clue, but I was like, okay, I gotta play this game. I had my eyes on it for a bit, but now I have a real reason. But that's kind of when I started to think about getting into raid. So once I got caught up with MSQ, I tried out some EX trials. I looked at a bunch of guides too, right? But this all started from Party Finder. You know, it all started from there. Whether it was EX Suzano or EX Lakshmi, you have to try out Party Finder. And then I'm coming from, I've never raided in MMOs. I have no perception of what it's like, what high-end gameplay is like. I got a little bit of a peek through Suzano, right? EX trial. So I'm just assuming, okay, so Savage is going to be a little bit harder than this. So I started looking at a bunch of guides, whether it was, like Mystex guide or Happy's guide. So I looked at a bunch. I'm someone that doesn't just stick to one resource. I'll look at a bunch of resources. And I looked at all these guides, and I go into PF, and the parties are yelling at me. They're like, hey, off tank, why are you going there? Why are you taking the boss there? You don't take it there, right? Why are you taking that position? Like, that's not your spot. I'm like, that's weird. These guys told me to do this. And the party's like, we don't use those strats anymore. Those are super outdated. And I'm coming in from the outside in. And I'm not familiar with the creator space yet at all. I don't know who's big. I just pick guys that look promising. So I'm thinking like, these have the most views, but these aren't what not people are doing. That's kind of weird. So I quickly realized there aren't a lot of PF guides, or if at all. There's no guides that were centric around Party Finder and built around doing strats in that setting, in this setting. So I realized like there's no guides that nobody's making guides that PF needed, right? Or ones I want to see, and this kept continuing. So Deltascape I was new. I didn't even think about making guides. I just kind of played through. But I guess I got as I went through the tiers and I got better at the game, I was kind of like, man, I really wish someone made something better, right? Something more visual, something with diagrams, something that shows updated strats, Just to iterate, there is a place for week 1 guides, right? There is a time and place for this, because people raid really early. They want to get clears early, and some people just knee-jerk reaction to I need a resource, right? Back then, raid plan and toolbox wasn't even a thing yet. So at best, you get me like a PowerPoint, right, or MS Paint drawing. So if it wasn't that, it was the guys that came out made by the prominent creators at the time. So, but after week 1, the strats do evolve. PF is this kind of ever-changing, kind of organic environment. So there is a need to make updated guides. So once I got super comfortable around AlphaScape, I was like, at that point I was running my static. It was the 3rd tier in. I was like, hey, it's time to make good guides. So I started creating what I felt was missing. So I made this little guide for our static. So to give it a little perspective, even though I did run a static, because I started in PF, on the off days I would go into PF and get prog ahead of time, and most often times I would clear before my static, and then I would bring the info back home. Right? I get them caught up. So for O12S, that tier, AlphaScape, there was a pretty hard mechanic called Hello World in Phase 2, and I figured instead of me explaining to these guys for like 40 minutes how to do it, I was like, let me just make them something, right? So I made them this little thing. So you might have seen this floating around around the net. This is actually not on YouTube anywhere. This is actually floating around on Streamable. Turns out this got passed around quite a bit. I had no idea. It wasn't in my knowledge that it was passed around. But apparently this is widely used as the reference for this mechanic. I guess a lot of people have never seen anything like this, like an animated guide that's synced up to real time and showing all the positions for where you need to be for specific debuffs and all that. Set the music, pretty clean, right? So this is a pretty arbitrary song choice though. This is what I was just listening at the time. This is Mondo Grosso song I really liked at the time, so I picked that. So I showed this to my static, and they're like, what the hell? I didn't know you could make stuff like this. Because at this point, I had not talked about my profession at all for 3 tiers. I think this whole time, to them, I was just like he's the guy that, makes a show up every week, right? He's the one that plays tank. He's the main tank. They didn't really think about, like, my profession. But at this point, they knew that, okay, he does videos and stuff like this, right? He could do design and stuff. So I started doing that. So that was actually, so if you saw that video, that was the oldest possible Joonbob video you could see. Because there's another one before this that was only for the static. That was the first one that was uploaded to the net. So if you know that video, you're an OG watcher. You're an OG fan, pretty much. You're as old school as it can get. Yeah, statics are its own beast. Yeah, eventually I did leave the static. So we had the static since I was on Primal at the time. So I had it since Deltascape. Once I reached Promise tier, that's when I left and tried out Aether. I was like, I wanted to kind of go solo and try PF predominantly. So I left Primal, transferred to Aether, and since Promise tier, I was just solo PFing on Aether to get a different perspective. But so in terms of guides, this is kind of my mindset. The goal was to make guides that are PF centric, strat wise, so show what PF is actually doing, and also visual diagrams in conjunction with in-game footage. I feel like visual diagrams are very handy, and there are a lot of visual learners, But at the end of the day, they're still approximations. So you do need something that depicts the in-game version of it too, whether it's timings, what it looks like in game, just in motion. So I think it's always a must-have both. So I'm always very keen about putting both in there. So make sure you have all the information a player needs to get it clear. That's the goal. The goal is to help someone get it clear. And for me, the last one is a personal thing. I wanted to make it entertaining to watch and rewatch. I come from this background of where YouTube didn't exist, and even when YouTube did exist, like monetization wasn't even a thing we thought about. People made stuff like this back in the day just out of pure passion, whether it was on Nico Video or like combo videos. People just did it for fun. People make quality for fun, just to that's just what you did, right? So I come from that background. So obviously now monetization is involved. Obviously I'm doing this for money to a degree too, so there's nothing wrong with that. But foundationally, my brain is still there. So I try to make it like something you can watch even if you already clicked here. Maybe you don't need a guide. Maybe you're too good for the guides now, but you still can watch it as entertainment. Or maybe you think Savage is something you'll never do, but you can kind of live vicariously through it by watching the guide. So it's a video. For me, it's a video medium. I need it to be this like entertaining thing. So that's kind of a personal thing that I always maintain. So might be wondering, why do I make it PF based, right? Why don't I base my strategies or videos on my preference or what's considered the optimal or best strats? Because you think maybe that's the best, that should be the thing you should do, right? But one thing to think about is this, right? Party Finder is kind of its own beast. And you got to think about the context you're creating for them. PF is an environment that doesn't necessarily need the best thing, it just needs something that works. A lot of people in PF just need instructions. So the reason it's PF based is like, I'm coming from a place of experience and coming up with a solution based on personal pain points. I'm someone that PFs predominantly, and I see the problems and the needs the players have in there. I see what strats work, what strats don't, what strats people gravitate towards. I see that firsthand from week one, like especially nowadays, I'm always there in week one. So I see it early on. I see all the changes that happen from week one all the way to week, however long I play, right? Usually at least like 2 months on average. So a lot of the methodology I come from making guides is based on this. I know what to expect. I know what to deliver as well. So just because you pick an optimal strat doesn't mean it'll be the best for PF. In fact, you'll probably create more proc time or more complications by doing that. What else is there? So I guess the most important thing is this guy right here. This is something I bring up all the time. So the most important thing is context, right? If you're making a guide for PF, you gotta make sure you understand what PF is. Either one, you gotta be participating in it actively, or you gotta be looking at it. You gotta be looking at PF constantly as well. If you're not doing that, then you're making stuff out of context, and you might miss the mark. You might include stuff in your video that has nothing to do with what people are doing right now, and you're gonna cause more confusion. You're gonna cause what I call noise. So it's gonna just cause a lot of unneeded conflict. Another thing to think about is this too. Not everyone can raid from week one. Not everyone's a gamer, or not everyone has the schedule to do it. And same for the second reason. Not everyone can be a static. Whether it's a choice or by scheduling conflicts, you should know that it's very hard to get 8 people in the same place at the same time, right? If you aren't a static, even if you have a scheduled static, think about all the times that someone couldn't make it, or someone's late, or someone's like, oh, can you find a sub today, blah blah blah, or someone ghosts you, right? Who has statics where people just ghost? They just don't show up one day, and you gotta scramble for a sub that day, or you have to cancel prog. Who's ran into that? Probably at least one of everyone that's been a static at least once, right? Like, so because of that, some people prefer to be in PF because they prefer the flexibility and freedom. When you play in a static, for example, if someone is a shithead and you don't like them, either you do 2 things, right? You gotta deal with them. If you're a personality that holds it in, you don't say anything. You hold it in. You deal with it till you blow up, and that's why you end up on YouTube, right? You have a fucking breakout. So you have those DSR clips and the top clips where people hold it in for entirety of Prague and they like let it all out at the end of Prague, right? Or you're someone that's like, I don't want to deal with this, I'll quit, right? I'll leave. So statics aren't this golden standard. So some people aren't in statics by choice. They'd rather have the kind of flexibility and transience of PF, where you go in there, if you run into a piece of shit, you just leave the party or kick them. You don't have to deal with them ever again, right? So me personally, I enjoy the freedom of time. I like being able to play whenever I want to. So I choose the non-static angle because I like being able to play whenever I want to. But the other stuff's fun. Other stuff is fine too. But also, PF is the fun part about PF is this too. You get to play with a lot of different people. If you look at my videos, if you look at all the clips, there's like a different name in the party, like every clip, right? That's because all the clips are recorded from PF. You know, sometimes friends come along, you'll see repeating names, but majority of those clips are from just PF runs, like reclear runs. You know, me playing on extra days. So I play with all kinds of people. You meet all kinds of good and bad players in there, and I think that's half the fun. It's the beauty of playing an online game. So for me, PF is very charming. Another charm point for PF is like if you ignore the bad stuff, like the what is it? I can talk about this later, but yeah, we'll move on. So next slide here. So one thing to ask, maybe you're asking, so if it's that turbulent, is it worth the effort to try to make a change in Party Finder? You know, if it's that much of an ever-changing thing and there's no standards, and you know you gotta make do with subpar strats, is it worth changing? And the answer to me is this: absolutely. You know, this is the environment I play in, right? To me, this is my static, right? This is my environment I choose to play in. So of course I want to make it better, you know, and that's why I make the guides the way I do. The goal is to, you know, there's no way to fix everything permanently. But if this is something you like doing, I think the natural reaction should be to let's try to make things better in here. It does not be perfect. It never will be. But you should do all that you can. And as for me, a player first and a guide creator second. I'm trying to do both things, right? Play well and make good resources. That's kind of my two goals. So and that's kind of been my thing for the longest time. Also, to reiterate, sometimes we meet some good ass people in Party Finder. Shit gets done in Party Finder, right? We get W's in there. Look at these clear screenshots. There's videos I made. I did a bunch of P12S last year. I made a compilation video of all the P12S clears I did, right? Clear for ones, you know, last minute Monday clears. We have a lot of wins in there, right? There's good players at PF, and sometimes you meet a lot of close friends through PF. You'll meet someone that you vibe with, or like they're good, so you want to play with them again. So you hit them up again. Or if you play well, chances are people will remember your name, and then they'll join your parties. You know, they'll see Vanlin Clancy or whoever, right? Your character's name. I do not move it, right? And they'll want to join your party because they're like, if I join him, that guy is good, right? And then if you play with them long enough, they'll probably start talking to you. And if you're someone like me that happens to stream, they might find your stream, you know, and they might lurk there for a bit. They might lurk there for a year, you know, a year or 2 years, not without saying anything. And one day they'll just start talking, and they're like, oh, they're really chill. And then they end up playing with you the next year or whatever. Like, it's happened time and time again in our channel. Like, a lot of our regulars are just people that have just found me through my videos or Party Finder, and they just don't say anything. And one day they just join PF, and they're like, oh, I've been in your channel for like a year. I just never said anything. And then those same people are people we play with this tier, and we clear week 1 with. So like one thing I was iterating before is like one of the charm points of PF is this: the moment you are able to meet 7 strangers and get shit done, something that's considered challenging, that's a really cool accomplishment. There isn't really a feeling that can really mirror that in other games. Like, and those 7 people you might never meet ever again. You know, that might be the one time you see them. Maybe you'll vaguely recall their names. Maybe you'll see the FF logs and see their name and be like, oh, I haven't played with that guy. But there is a good chance you might never see him again. Or on the flip side, like I said, you might see them, you know, constantly afterwards because they're like, you know, this guy's cool. Let's keep playing with them. So PF has its good points. You know, it gets W's. But you also get L's in here. You get plenty of L's in here. Let's not get twisted. It's great. It's something we need. We play in here, but we definitely get some L's in here. Yeah, I'm not a soccer bungee Joonbob. Yeah, that's how Arya Fraternis. That was her first interaction with me. So everyone, the fun thing about meeting people in Party Finder in game is they all have their different stories of how they found me. A lot of it's through the video, but the in-game ones are the most funny. Like either I'll be like, I think the funniest one is with me and Avalon. We're doing Bostra, and I died during a critical engagement, and he's like rezzing me, and he's like, "Aren't you Joonbob?" He's like, "What? You die in critical engagements?" So like, and we've been friends since. So next up, what we got here? Sorry. Oh yeah, so let's talk about what the hell is PF. So I mean, it sounds like people don't need an explanation of PF. It's from what I gather here, everyone here has done PF to a degree, so they know what it is. But we'll go over it for formality's sakes for the people watching at home. If you've never PF before, this is what it is. It's an in-game function made for grouping up. So you make a party. It's a listing you can join, and anyone can join it unless you set it to private. It's probably the closest thing to an open lobby equivalent to another game. Like a pub room or whatever for FPSs or fighting games, whatever. It's an open invite room where people could join you to do content. It's a public space. And it has its own dynamic and its rules. Obviously, there's in-game rules, like settings that you can't defy. But when I say its own dynamic and rules, I mean like when you're in PF doing Savage or EX Trials, there's kind of their own dynamic, right? It has its own house rules, it has its own vibe, and this differs from data center to data center, differs from, regions, right? JP, PF, and JP, just Savage culture is very different from America, and sounds like Europe has its own thing own thing too. And within DCs too. I mean, these days there's DC travels, so it's not as like, not as like departed, but for a while before there's DC travel, there was like Aether strats, Primal strats, Crystal if you want to count it, right? And it's literally used by everyone to clear content. So I think that's probably why there's nobody that spoke up saying like, I never done PF before. If you play this game, if you do high-end content, you've definitely used PF, right? You know what it is. So I'm catching up on chat here. Everyone with me here? Are we having a good time? Right. People chatting always means I feel like there is a conversation to be had. So that's good to see. All right, but yeah, again to reiterate, yeah, if you have things to say, feel free to chime in the say chat, in the party chat. I'm eyeballing it as I go. It keeps me on track too. So let's see here. So next up, now that we talked about Party Finder itself and who uses it, let's talk about the streets of Party Finder. I call Party Finder the streets, right? I think it's a very apt comparison. You go to the streets and there's some street rules you follow. They're not written, obviously. There's obviously the law. There's the law you have to follow, right? But there's some street rules you know not to do, right? There are things you know to do, not to do. There's people that you're like, that guy you shouldn't talk to, right? Etc. There's stuff like that. I think it's a very apt comparison in my opinion. So let's see here. So let's talk about some problems though. So I talked about there's a lot of W's in PF, but there's plenty of L's too. So tell me this. Take a moment to think about this next image. So this is the next image will be a picture of party chat, or I guess tel chat. When you get a message like this, what is your reaction? Tell me in say chat or in party chat or in stream chat. What's your reaction to this? This is a 2 chest clear party you put up, and then you get this message from this guy. What's going on in your head? What's your response? Do you respond to him? That guy's you. That's a big note. Big doubt. Leave on read. I've ignored. Send me your maid's name. Sorry, but no. Oh my goodness. I have a couple stories about this. We'll get to this in a bit. But this is something everyone's run into if you made a PF, right? You sent this message for. like week 12 mile. See, that's the thing, right? So sometimes, honestly, you are an alt and you do have it clear, right? You have proof that you vouch for, but there are people that ruin this for people. This has been ruined for me several times. Or now I don't say yes at all. I almost make no exceptions because of situations like this. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, next image. Do you guys know about this? The two mechanic rule. A tried and true formula. Do you know what the two mechanic rule is in PF? You guys know what this is? It's a formula. I can break it down to a formula form. The two mechanic rule, if you break it down into a formulaic form, is this. This is the formula for the two mechanic rule. So the projected proc point equals x minus y times z. X is the listed progression point on the PF. So let's say they said like enrage proc, enrage to clear. That's what it's listed as, right? Y is the varying number of preceding mechanics. 2 minimum, right? 2 minimum. It's at least 2. They're at least 2 behind. So you subtract 2, but you multiply by z, which is your party level's finesse skills. It's usually the negatives. This is like this is not a good number usually. Or sorry, like a positive number. Sorry, positive. It's a multiple. It's like a negative. The higher it is bad, right? Let me reiterate. It's a positive number, but it's a higher it is bad. So you multiply that by the 2 minimum, right? And you subtract it from the proc point, and that is how much proc you're getting. AKA, it's fucking bullshit. You're not gonna see enrage in that party, right? You're not gonna see anything close in range. This is the mindset you kind of run into after a while, right? Now, obviously, this isn't always the case. This is, obviously I'm being very facetious, right? But press 1 or not say / nod in the audience if this is how you feel sometimes when you see enrage to clear in the PF. It's like, what's your immediate response? Like doubt sometimes, right? Because you dealt with this plenty of times, right? Because sometimes what happens is Mr. I do not grief joins these parties to add to that perception. You let this guy in, and then you're like, wait a minute, this guy makes this formula true. Like, god damn it, right? I want to have faith in humanity, but this guy makes this formula more true. So we've had all have our moments. It sounds like. Okay, so story time. So I did say I would reiterate on this story. So I'll give you an example. I have a lot of examples of this story, but one story I could give is this. So one time, this is a pretty relatively recent story. So one expansion ago. So Asphodelis, sorry, not Asphodelis, Abyssos tier. I'm doing P8 prog in PF. This is like week 1 or something. And if you guys remember anything about Abyssos, P8 was a very hard tier, let alone PF, right? Like statics were struggling. People couldn't make the DPS check. People couldn't do the mechanics. It was a hard, challenging fight. People would kill their mom to get P1 parse and get their P2 to join P1 parties, right? It was that cutthroat, right? It was like I want to just get their P2 or P1 so I could get a P1 parse. That way I can join P2 parties. So one day I do get a message like this. Not it wasn't all, but this guy asked like, "Hey, I promise I've seen all the mechs. I'm up to natural alignment 1 in P2. I don't have a log yet though. The last party I was in didn't upload the log, right? So they're like, can I join? And usually I would say no. But in PF or P8, because the fight was so hard, parties would take like 3 to 4 hours to fill. So at that point, it was like my 4th hour waiting in PF. So I was like, you know what? I gotta get some prog today. So sure, let's go in, right? And we go into PF. And this player is mad sus, right? It's like I'm already regretting it. It's like he's like messing up in P1 constantly. I'm just like, this guy definitely wasn't ready, but it's what it is, man. I gotta get some prog today. I want to play the game. I want to get some practice, right? But through the stroke of luck, we have a miracle pool, and we do get to phase 2. And you know what this guy chats? You know what I see in party chat? The guy let him say us in party chat this. Hey, I just want to be transparent. I was lying about my phase 2 prog. I've never been here. This is actually my first time. So I don't want to grieve for phase 2 prog, so I'm going to take my leave. Leaves instantly. And the 7 of us are looking at each other like, why didn't he just stay and get prog? Why would you leave? At that point, why would you leave? You worked so hard to get through this phase. Why would you do that? So you run into stuff like that. So I run into all kinds of stuff during early tiers. Yeah. So that's why I say no to this instantly now. So for people that do have alts and have actual alts, people like that guy ruined it for you. I have a funnier story. The story of anything. I might have told the story before in other places, but are you guys familiar with the story of anything? Who knows the anything story? If you're in my channel, you probably heard the anything story before. Press 1 if you have not heard the anything story. What? Okay. At least one person. So anything also pertains to Abyssos tier. So I made a mistake of not putting it on duty complete for a second, right? Or sorry, not duty complete. What is it? I forgot to lock out a slot or something. So some guy joins, right? And at this point in PF, people are very like pinpoint about looking at people's logs, right? Because like we don't want to waste time at P2. So like let's make sure people joining have a P1 log. So some guy joins. This samurai joins, and someone in my party is like, "Hey, samurai, you don't have a log. You know, what's your proc point? What's your proc point, dude?" Samurai doesn't answer, and the one of the guy, I think it was like a Fizz range or something. He keeps badgering him like, "Hey, Mr. Samurai, what's your proc point? What's your proc point?" Right? And then Samurai finally answers saying, "Me?" Right? And then the Fizz range's like, "Yeah, you, Samurai. What is your proc point for phase 2? Right? You have no log, so we gotta know." Now, in this situation, you could literally say anything, right? You could make shit up. You could be like, "Oh, I'm at enrage. Oh, I'm at high concept 2." Just say something smart, right? To you know, lie your way through. This guy answers with the words on the screen. These are the exact words he typed on screen. This man typed in anything. That's the words that pops up in party chat. Of course, our party chat explodes. Like, what the? Okay, dude. Goodbye. Whoosh. See ya. Kicked immediately. Clever man? No, unclever. It was a typo for anything. But it was just the most unsmart thing you could lie about. Just say any mechanic in phase 2, right? You could have just said anything. You could have said natural alignment 1. You know? You could have just said the first mechanic, right? This guy said he meant to say anything. But he's typed anything. You can say anything, that's what he did. But it made it more memorable because I'll never forget the story. This is why I'm telling you this story now. Okay, another problem PF common problem. So we have lying in Prague. We have people that underperform. How many of you guys have run into this? Can you guys spot the problem of this PF? Spoilers, it's not the strats. It's not the strats. The strats have no problem. But can you guys point out problem or problems with this PF? Just from looking at it. Feel free to say it in say chat or stream chat if you notice anything. Okay, Lukey's on the right track. You know whose PF this is? Yeah, I censor the names to protect the innocent, but the people that know. So this is for the record a re-clear we're trying to do for friends. So a friend of ours made this PF. Okay, you guys are on the ball. So, but here's something missed that it's not apparent from this PF. These are the things that are incorrect with this PF. Check 1. It's not set to weak loot unclaimed. It's 2 chest party, but one chester could join and waste time, right? We could go into the party, start the party, and be like, wait, wasn't this 2 chests? There's no eye level minimum. So literally anyone could join. They could be under gear, unmelded, and they could join. That would be a problem. Both slots were set to healer, any healer. So both slots could be regen healers. And in fact, another regen healer did join later. And our white mage friend had to adjust to Sage. Also, DPS was set to every DPS. So literally it could have been a 4 melee party. So sometimes you run into this too. So people that don't understand how to set up parties. So you end up spending time. It's like, at the end of the day, this party went fine. But how many times have you, been in a party where they didn't set the PF correctly, and like you have to someone's like, oh, I thought regen healer wasn't taken, so I joined, and they leave, and then because the other people are waiting and they saw someone leave, they leave too. It's a snowball situation, right? And then now you have you and your friend that was waiting, so you gotta wait again, right? So that's a time wasted, right? So learning this kind of stuff is proper too. This has nothing to do with player skill, but this is also kind of the street rule I'm talking about. These are the street rules. You're expected to know this stuff, right? So you're expected to set this up properly. You're also expected to see this and be like, regen healer is taken, let's not join as regen healer, right? Kind of use your head too. The fact that someone joined as regen healer is kind of annoying, honestly, right? Even though they saw one already in the party. So these are the things that people need to be conscious of as players. So this is what I mean by like street rules, PF being the streets. But this isn't the only thing. There's many more. There's more than this, but just at the top of my head, these are the things you've probably run into. Players with no melds, people wearing outdated gear. You're in a party that has not even near close to damage to meet the check. You got people dying on cooldown, but that same player is blaming everyone but themselves, right? There's I'm not here to clear, I'm just learning Black Mage. You got players that can adjust, they have to do the same position all the time. I can only do group 2 healer east side position. I can't do west, right? Vice versa, right? And more, right? Anything on this list that I'm missing that you experienced? You guys notice anything that I'm missing that pertains to you guys? Bestie, please give me my spot. You're a shit on player. If you know me, I hate on black mages all the time. Both justifiably so and in an endearing fashion. One thing I took out on this list, B glam debuff. That's funny. That's a new one. Joining on one job and swapping to something else after raid check. That's also pretty scummy. Yeah. There's one I left out on purpose. I made it its own slide because I think this is something you need to talk about. No raid food. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, no raid food. Yeah. The one biggest thing for me that they're not from the streets is this one. When I see these words in the party chat, this is the biggest red flag / peeve point for me. That's not how my static does it. This is the biggest point of offense for me in Party Finder. When someone comes in and either they die or mess up a mechanic and they didn't know it, and this is what they mouth off with. This is like, alright. Is that you in the background? Maybe it's me or maybe it's the guy saying it. I have this thing I say a lot for Party Finder. I use this phrase, right? I use the phrase when in Rome. When you're the phrase, if you don't know the phrase, I think everyone does, but it just means that if you're in someone else's country or someone else's house, you follow their rules. So if you're in PF, that's not your house anymore. That's not your static. So you gotta follow the rules of PF. So when you're stepping into this environment, you're expected to, at least have an understanding of what these strats are. If you don't know, ask and follow them. But the last thing you want to do is this, right? But Rome is a real world place. So we're in Dontril. So let's say we're in Yogg-Toroil. Let's say for reference sake, we're in Dontril. We've done all the MSQ. We didn't skip any cutscenes, right? You know where Yogg-Toroil is, right? You take your shoes off and we're the incisive person PF. Yes, yeah, basically, right? Basically, you follow the rules of the streets, right? So for example, let's give some real world examples for this. Like, you wouldn't go to someone's house playing poker or Uno and complain about their house rules, right? You'd be like, we don't do that in our house. You can't do wild card and draw 2 together. You can't do that. It's like, we do it here, motherfucker. You wouldn't like argue that to someone, right? You wouldn't go to a casino and argue to the house if you ask the house like, hey, can I like can I do an open hand or whatever, or can I do this obscure kind of betting rule, and they say no, you don't throw a fit and try to force them to do it. If you do, suited black men in sunglasses will come and drag you out of there, right? You don't argue that. They take you to the back, right? Can I win after free 10? Yeah. Or my favorite example is this. You wouldn't go to a local Chinese restaurant or a Mexican restaurant with a B sanitation or even C sanitation rating, and you wouldn't go up to the front and be like, hey, my Aunt Susie doesn't make tacos like this, or my Aunt Susie doesn't make sesame chicken like this. Can you change this? They're gonna spit in your food, right? You wouldn't go say that, right? So it's the same thing for PF. PF is kind of that. To me, it's that environment. You're in Yoctoral, you're in PF, and you're in the streets. You follow the rules of the streets. So keep that to your static. If you want to play in the static and play within the safety rules of your static, go play there, right? But if you're in PF, you're in PF. So in that regard, if you play in PF, I think the thing people gotta remember is also this: you gotta fight for your streets, right? These are your streets. Don't let the outside influence you for no reason, right? There's so many occurrences in a lot of tiers where you'll be doing a certain strat, and suddenly the next week a different strat happens, and everyone bends over backwards suddenly, right? But again, so here's the thing. To reiterate this point, there is a time and place for week 1 guides, right? Because that's all we got in week 1. Everyone's kind of scrambling at this point in week 1. No, there is no standard. It's not even reasonable to expect a standard at this point. You just kind of make do what we got. But once week 2 hits, the weekend hits, video guides will come up. World First Raiders will put up their VODs and their clear videos. Some of them do make guides too, so they'll come up. Better references do come up, and people will come up with better strats over time through that. Even within the first week, even this tier, if we use this tier as an example, Raid Plan and Pacements came up with good strats immediately, and the bad ones got updated immediately too. S3Q, for example, for M4S, or the Shababin ones for M3S. They're fine. They're more than fine. People are progging with them, no problem. But sometimes this happens, right? The next week hits, or a random day hits, like Thursday hits, and you're like, what the hell is this strat? Where did this come from? What are these new acronyms that people are adding? What's KBI, right? What is this nonsense, right? Why is it MMRR? We've been doing RMMR for the last 2 weeks. Why did we change? Also, why did the entire PF change to this? What's Uptime Sunrise, right? What's AutoCAD? Yeah, exactly. Why does this happen? Where the fuck did it come from, right? So this is what I talk about when I say it's noise. So to iterate something, it's learning multiple strats is not a bad thing. In fact, I would encourage it normally if the strats and the fights warrant it. Learning multiple strats makes you a better player, makes you more adaptable, makes you try out different solutions, and makes you have different perspectives. But only when it makes sense, when it's viable. Because sometimes there's a completely arbitrary, strats. Sometimes it's the worst strat. Sometimes people transfer to something objectively worse. And when you hear about, sometimes you get to hear the reason why that strat was made, and you hear it's a complete arbitrary reason. It becomes this. You find out it's this. This is the worst part. When a strat stakes in PF and you find out the reason is this, you're like, holy shit, what the hell? Even though the first month to a couple weeks to a month, you've been doing the good one, right? We were already set. Pace spin and raid plan was set. At that point, another guy depicting a strat should have been these strats, not introducing weird new ones that your static does. So this is something people gotta keep in mind. If you consider the PF your home, your streets, you gotta protect it. You gotta reject this kind of stuff. You gotta be more cognizant of it. So noise plus misinformation equals, that's what happens. Extra time spent. Plenty of people told me even this tier. I mean, this is the only tier it's an example for, but they would prog M3S, the first 2 weeks, and then suddenly on a Friday, all these new strats happen, and then you just end up spending more prog time because everyone has to learn this new strat. That's not even better. Objectively worse, right? Same with Uptime Sunrise. normal sunrise is fine, and people folded over doing normal sunrise, saying it was too hard, and then you end up learning a much harder strat that doesn't actually give you uptime. So it's like, so these are the types of things that players need to be more conscious of, and not just be like, okay, new video, new strat, let's just change. You got to think about why it changed and if it's better. Otherwise, you're gonna waste your time and you're gonna waste everyone's time. So these problems in PF, right? So I've mentioned problems from the players themselves, the problems in Party Finder that are caused by players that lie about prog, aren't good at the game, they don't put in the work, right? But there's also a problem with resource creators too, right? So, but then there's also a problem of the players following the bad resources. Yeah, tank damage down is a good example too. The list goes on. There's a lot of these examples I could give. So you might be wondering, wrong key. Might be wondering, whoops. Oh, I didn't make a slide for this. Oh, I guess so it's easy to blame one side, right? You could be like, it's the player's fault. PF is stupid. They're bad. They'll never listen. Or you could be on the side of, these guides are bad. These guide makers are trash, right? They always put out bad guides, Yeah, they can't read, whatever, right? So it's easy to blame one side. And you know what? Sometimes both are true sometimes. Sometimes PF is bad, and sometimes these guys are bad, right? To be quite frank. These are both true sometimes, right? Agree or disagree. One if agree, two if disagree. Yeah, sometimes it's like it's both. It's not just one side. It's not just players that are bad. It's not just the bad guys. Sometimes it is both. Right? So, what's the solution? Are there any solutions? Is there even one? Is there even a solution? So, this is something I always mull over when I make guides, and I bring up quite often when I talk about this stuff. Because it's so you gotta think about it backwards, right? So it's easy to blame one side, but clearly there's two sides, right? Clearly there's a two-sided problem. So it's a two-way street solution. So one side is players. So I guess in this case, players in PF. The other side are the creators. In this case, the people that make the resources. Whether it's raid plans, videos, pictures. If you're posting on social media. If you're someone that even just curates information, right? That includes all of you. It's not just the guide creators. This is the creator side is a lot of people, honestly, right? I would even say creators includes streamers that suggest certain strats. Because a lot of streamers do PF, and some of them have a lot more influence on the player base. That is a fried chicken meme image. So to reiterate, the dynamic of the game is something that's ever changing. The player base is always changing. It keeps changing because this game keeps growing in player base. It's hard to control the amount of information that people kind of consume and are able to bandwagon. Bandwagoning is so much stronger now. Back then in Stormblood and maybe even up to early Endwalker, it was easy to people to assess that these are bad strats and convince people that these are bad. But with Dawntrail, the player base is bigger than ever. And then now there's so many new raiders, and they have no perspective of what's good or bad. They're just gonna do what's the most popular, right? So on this side, the creators need to kind of be like, okay, wait, this, you should be doing this, right? So content is ever changing. So both sides need to cooperate. So let's start from the creator side. This is what the creators could be doing or should be doing. Creators, you need to be responsible for your content. You gotta think about what you put out. You gotta make sure the information is correct. You gotta understand the context you're creating for. So, for example, me as a creator that creates for PF, I need to understand what PF is doing, and I need to show what PF is actually doing. So you should never introduce a new strat unless you really believe you're an authority of that fight or that tier or just raids in general, and you want to introduce a new strat that people should be doing they're not doing right now. That's happened before too. I've done that a couple of times, and through the proper resources, PF did change to that strat. So context is very, very important. Third thing I'll iterate is disclaimers mean nothing unless you follow through with them. It's easy to say that, in the beginning of your video, these strategies are early strats. Please use better strats later. If you say that, then you need to make a video with updated strats too. You can't just have a disclaimer saying that on your old video and just leave that up. When the updated strats come out, you gotta either take yours down or unlist it or update that. Otherwise, you're not helping. You're perpetuating the problem. The thing you're doing is the same thing as this. I'm not sure if you see it here. It's kind of probably it's too white to see it. There's on these coffee plastic mugs, there's a warning that says caution, contents hot. You know what this is for? This is just for the companies to cover their asses, so you don't get in trouble if someone gets burned because of something obvious, right? If you scald yourself because of obviously hot coffee, you don't want to get in trouble, right? It's a legal thing. So a disclaimer, all it does is protect you from getting yelled at. But if you're not actually doing anything to change anything, you're not doing anything. So you can't hide behind disclaimers. You gotta actually do something different. Fourthly, you want to provide solutions, not suggestions. If you are making something instructional, especially for PF, I mean for different content it might be a different thing, but your goal shouldn't be to suggest things. You want to guide PF into doing something specific, or you want to show them what's actually being done. So you just provide the solution. Don't be long-winded. Don't over-explain stuff. Just show exactly what's being done and what they should do. The worst thing you do is list everything that has been done and then make them choose, right? Because then that's super big, and then now nobody knows what they're doing, and that's how you have like all this confusion in PF, right? So. And ultimate goal is like, as a creator, your goal should be to help people clear. You gotta have your priorities straight, right? Don't give people the freedom to think, basically. Yeah, exactly. That's another way to put it. But if your goal is to make money and get views, then by all means do whatever you want. But if you are stating that your goal is to help Party Finder, your goal is to help players, your creation should reflect that. So you gotta really, take a step back and look. Am I doing it for the views? Am I doing it to actually help people? And if you're doing it to help people, I think some people would not do what they're doing. So, aka, I guess like the common thing is to rush content, right? Rush information so that you're first. Doesn't help anyone, right? It helps you as a creator. But as we know, a lot of first info is usually wrong or outdated very quickly. So that's one thing I would recommend. Take a step back and look. What are you actually trying to do here, right? Are you trying to make something instructional that helps everyone, or are you just trying to be a content creator? If your goal is to be a content creator, just forget what I'm saying. Just keep doing it, because this doesn't pertain to you. So on the player side, you got to be resourceful, right? Understand there isn't a single perfect source, right? There's multiple sources out there. Look at a bunch of them. Don't just rely on one. It's okay to have preferences and favorites. If you are a Joonbob person and you're like, I swear by Joonbob guides, that's fine. But I implore you to still look at other resources, whether raid plans, other POVs, because I'm predominantly a tank player. I try to show other POVs when possible, when it's necessary. But maybe you're like a range player or a healer. Maybe you need a healer perspective, and I didn't provide it for that fight because there aren't any healer specific mechanics. So maybe you need that. So go look at a healer POV. You might get a perspective that you thought you needed, but you didn't know. You only Joonbob, sorry. Well, that's all you. Yeah. Usually, I do try to include multiple POVs, but usually I only try to do it when there's a role specific mechanics. But and even this year, so last week for fun we went in as alt roles. I healed. There's stuff I learned a lot, right? It didn't change the fight mechanics for me, but I learned a lot of little nuances that I wouldn't have learned unless I did that. It doesn't hurt the guy per se, but I wouldn't have learned it otherwise. I wouldn't have learned it from my own guide for that matter. Also, have an open mind. So the first two kind of go hand in hand. Have an open mind. Be open to trying different strats, but also understand the difference between being adaptable and things being arbitrary. So adaptable is like, okay, recognizing these strats are both good, they're both viable. It has this plus, this minus, but at the end of the day, it's about the same. Or I prefer this. Arbitrary is to recognize that this strat is not worth it. This doesn't add anything. It actually adds more complications. And in fact, this previous one doesn't need to be replaced by this one at all. This one is actually rubbish. So you gotta be able to look at that and not just accept the new strat immediately. Even if it's from your favorite video creator, right? If I put out something rubbish, I implore people not use it, right? If you look at it like this is whatever, right? Don't use it. Don't use the strat. But I usually have a pretty good track record of not including strats like that. I just show like what's actually being done. So, also, do your best to play well. You know, mistakes happen. That's okay. But and by play well, I mean all the other stuff I mentioned too. Like learn your job. Obviously, don't practice your job at a clear party, for example. But also, be a player of integrity. Like be courteous to people. Don't waste people's times. Try to set up the PF properly. Learn how to do it. It saves a lot of time. You'd be surprised how much time that saves when you set up properly. It's the little things that add up. If you're what is it? And like be patient, right? Like don't be a shithead. Right? And if there's a solution or a video you like and you think it should be used, spread and actually use those solutions that you believe to be good. I think it's easy to fold to a popular strat and just join that PF because the other one won't fill, and that's understandable. You don't want to waste time, right? Time is precious. So sometimes that putting some strat that you like and it's better, it'll take longer to fill, or it might not even fill sometimes. And it's better to just join the one that's popular, even though it's suboptimal. But if you have the leisure, I suggest that you wait in PF, make the parties you want to make, and do the strats that you consider good. And that's the only way you'll show that the strat exists, if anything, right? Because the less you do that strat, the more it will fade away. And people coming in much later will think the bad strat is the good one because they have no context at that point, right? They're coming in so late, they have no knowledge or history of what PF went through the last few weeks or a month. So if you don't do anything, then that's gonna hurt people. So wow, I'm yapping too much, so I think we need to speed this up a little bit. So here's a summary of that, right? So speed up here. So Joonbob guides. So let's talk about so all this was really all this context was a setup to kind of iterate why I make the guides I do, right? So because of all the stuff I talked about, that's why the videos I make are that way, right? The video you've seen. So you might have seen like I show certain strats and it's not necessarily the best one, or it comes out much later, right? So like one question I get asked a lot is, does Joonbob have a big team? Because the production values are high and such. And just me, just me. All the stuff listed here is all the stuff I do. It's like a passion project, but I guess it's kind of work now, right? But it's a one-man army type thing. Thankfully, a lot of people are willing to come along and join the fights to make things a little bit more smoothly when I want to collect footage. So I do get help like that, but the core is me, So illustration, animations, all the diagrams. And then people often say your videos come out late, and they make up their own reason, right? So if you're Joon and who's Bob, I'm both. The reason for this is I'll reiterate again. I want to see what PF does, and then come up with a resource that shows exactly what PF is doing, instead of making something very quickly at week 1 and have to be wrong and updated. I'd rather have the reputation of having late guides than to have someone that puts out stuff early and is wrong and confuses people. So. Also, I want to make them pretty because I want the videos to be memorable. I come from making stuff from passion because I want to. When something is made on my personal time, I need it to be good, right? I need it to be something that that I'm happy to look at later. Like one of my MOs is like, or one of my mentality for these kind of things is like, don't make things that I wouldn't use, right? Whether it's like if it's merch, don't make a design I wouldn't wear. If it's a video or a guide, don't make a video I wouldn't use. Like I literally use my own guides. I even say on stream. Sometimes I'll go into Baja, I'll fire up my own guide and have the diagram up. When we're doing all clears for M3S, I forgot the healer positions. I opened up my own guide, right? I had it up on the other monitor, right? So it's like, so if you're not willing to use your own stuff, I don't think you should be putting it up. It's kind of how I feel. So speaking of how I feel, so these are my upcoming or my personal rules for guide creation. So obviously these are my rules. I don't expect anyone else to follow them. This is just kind of what comes together to make my guides feel like they're mine. This is what kind of composes the Joonbob guide. So going down the line, it's like 1, only make content for stuff I've cleared. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I think there's kind of like no contest. There shouldn't even be an argument, but apparently there's a bit of a contention point for this. But for me, the easiest way to prove that you know how to do a fight in this game without having to discuss anything is just have it cleared. Show your weapon, show your log, show your achievement. It's hard to argue that you don't know the fight if you've cleared it at least, right? You can get carried obviously, but chances are if you prog it enough to clear it early enough, you know the fight, right? So I think it only makes sense to make stuff I understand too. Again, the context thing, right? Number 2, another given, information is correct, up to date. No need to elaborate on that, right? 3, context appropriate. Use PF strats for a PF guide, right? So I'm making a PF guide. I'm gonna make sure I know what I'm talking about because I did the PF. I was in there doing the strats, and I'll show what's actually being done. Unless I really need to show you that you need to do this instead. 4 is another personal rule. I make sure the footage is mine. One is a kind of a cosmetic reason. I like the shots to look like a very specific way. So I don't like accepting other people's videos because I don't expect them to record in the way I do, right? Or set up the hotbars in a way. So that's kind of too much work. But another reason is it proves that I'm playing the game. Like I'm not talking out of my ass. This is me playing the game, me doing the strats that I just showed you in the diagram. So this is real. This is not just me just saying shit. So that's it's kind of a double whammy. It kills 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, it gets the shots I want. 2, it shows that I'm actually doing it, and these are real strats. And 5, as I iterated before, I wanted to make them informative, entertaining. I have plenty of people that come back to me later. They're like, I don't need your guides anymore. It's like I cleared way before they come out, but I still watch them because they're, I understand the quality involved. So I always want to rewatch them. So it makes me really happy to hear that. It's very humbling. So there's always that too, and it's important. It's important for me to make videos like that. Thank you. So here's another contention point. So to reiterate on that last point, late guys are pointless. PS is versus chains, so why bother, right? There's this misconception that PFE only uses early strats, and they will never change. I'll tell you this from someone that's raided since Stormblood Delta Escape. This is not true. I've seen this not be true since the first raid tier I've raided in, and I'll show you some examples actually. So this is the earliest iteration of this. So I started raid for this tier pretty late, about like 2 to 3 weeks in. So I was catching up. I think my first clear was probably like at least like 7 or 8 weeks into the tier, because I started pretty late. So it wasn't this strat for the longest time. So this is a very key mechanic. You see it twice in the fight. It happens twice in the fight. This is the second phase of 04S. There's a mechanic called Grand Cross Delta. It got updated to the strat, and it was so standardized it wasn't even listed uptime in the PF. Whenever you went into PF, they wouldn't even write down anything for Grand Cross Delta. This is the strat you just understood to do, and this is a handy little PowerPoint that got me my clear. This is before so this is the one updated guide I saw, and this saved my life. If it wasn't for this guide, I wouldn't have gotten the clear. It's still up. I found these screenshots I made today actually. I found that it still exists online. Just look up O4's visual guide. It's great. So whoever this is, or I think I know their name. It's on the PowerPoint. But if you ever watch this, thank you for helping me get my first clear. It's a very good guide. Next up is this. So I showed you the diagram for this too, right? So hello world. So this one I went a little faster in PF. I think I cleared maybe like the 4th or 5th or 6th week in. So pretty early. But even though it was relatively fast for PF, by the time I got to this fight, it was always Unreal Hello World. So there was previously a worse strat apparently, but by the time I got to this fight, it was already wiped off the planet. I only know the name of the bad strat, but it got wiped off. So even a 4th or 5th weekend, PF would still update to a better strat. This is Stormblood, by the way, right? So the diagram I showed earlier with this. This is like whenever you saw Unreal Hello World, it was this. Yeah, this was the strat. It was understood you did this. So prior to this, there's a much worse downtime strat apparently, or I guess I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what the other one looked like. So case in point though, it got wiped off the planet before I ever knew it existed. Another example I like to give a lot is this guy, line strat in 09S. There was a midpoint ad check in this fight. There was 2 strats. One was better than the other, and one was way worse. PF would do the worst one for some reason. I believe it was DPS out. or something, right? It didn't even mean the right thing because DPS didn't do anything that fight. DPS planted and the supports adjusted. But there was a strat that people liked that was full downtime for DPS. But I think about 2 months of the tier, some guy, I don't know who made this. I've never seen a diagram for this. Someone from our static was like, hey Van, I saw this in PF. You want to do this? This is actually a really good strat. So it's this. You just stand on the markers, right? You line up, specific roles, specific debuffs go to the marker, pop, knockback, invul, and it just does itself. It just does itself. You just go to the markers, you knock back, it does itself, and you get full uptime. Not a single melee loses downtime. The guy that gets knocked diagonally is a fizz range, so they don't get affected. Easy. This shit came out like, I want to say like 2 months or 1.5 months into the tier. And everyone in PF was doing this till the end, because this is the last tier in the expansion, right? So, again, another late strat that got updated, people adapted. Another one is this E8S pickup guide. This one's a weirder one, right? This one, people quote to me that they use it till the end of time. This tier came out, I think, February. So the first clear would have been in February. This video didn't come out till May, right? But it still got used. Now, I guess you can argue that it was COVID tier, and people had all the time in the world to do this fight. But you gotta understand, this fight has no ultimate attached to it. There's no reason to do this fight, even for gear. But despite that, people still use this video because of the quality and the accuracy it depicted for PF. So a lot of people, this was their first video of mine that they saw, and they quoted it to be their favorite video. So despite those conditions, like COVID tier and it having no ultimate attached, people still use this widely, even though it came out like 3 months late into the tier, right? This is a safe space to resolve PF trauma. Another one we can talk about is this one. This is a famous one. Flames of Acidelis. So this is another one that it's kind of analogous to current tier, actually, M3S. But P3S had a bad spread strat where melee would be placed in the wrong place. And whenever there's a split mechanic that happens 75% of the way through, either you got stack or spread. You always pray for stack because people didn't know how to spread for this, and they also went to bad melee spots where melee would not get positionals or uptime. So I got tired of that, and I was like, hey, let's make this video. So we made this little video, and I put it out, showing the proper positions. To give a little background of this, I asked people to come with me to help because it was 70% of the way through in the fight, and there's no way I was going to do this in PF consistently. So I got a bunch of friends to ask me to help for this. So again, this is 70% into the fight, right? Like this mechanic happens 7 minutes into the fight. So normally you would want stack, and you'd be happy to get stack. I kid you not, we did like 15 to 20 pulls of this. Every single one of those was stack. We never got spread. On the 16th pull, we got spread. You know what happened? The black mage, not this one, the black mage in this party, she's a summoner now. The summoner in this party kills me. And the footage is unusable. So we have to do it again. So it took a lot of work getting the variation we needed that was clean to get this footage. But was it worth it? Absolutely, because after I released this video, PF transferred to this strat and would use this strat till the end of the tier. So not only did people have a reference point to how to do spreads, everyone was getting uptime. Yeah, so again, this happened like a month later into the tier. Stupid ass summoner. So the point I'm trying to make is long as there's a lot of other examples too, right? So like P8S, I made this pretty late, but people told me they've used this as their first clear for certain content. You know, list goes on. So the point I'm trying to make is, long as there is the quality and the intent involved, it'll be helpful to someone. So there's never too late for guides for 14. Obviously, if you make it a day before next tier, that's probably too late. But you know, a month in, 2 months in, these tiers last a long time, right? Long time. Like sometimes, you know, a tier lasts a whole year based on the time it comes out, because these patch gaps have been longer. So there's a longer amount of time people could take advantage of the information. So why not have good info? Why not have a clean representative guide, right? So if anyone says it's too late, it's not true. I would talk about this, but I think this is gonna take too long. So I think I'll share this on another time. There's another story about context I could share with you, but it's too long. So let's wrap it up with some key points, and we'll do a quick Q&A. So to wrap it up, the key points: PF is a real place. People get clears in here. This is not some place you come in and meme. People take content seriously, and people get their first clears and start their raid journeys here. So be good in here, right? Do your best. It's a two-way street for players and creators to make the place better. It's not just the player's fault. It's not just the creator's fault. Both sides have to do better. Context is crucial. So if you're whether you're a player or a creator, make sure you know that you're going to PF. It's not your static. If you're making guides for PF, make sure you're doing PF specific strats information. Make sure at the very least go in and do it, right? At least go in and do it in the region you're playing in. 4, to reiterate again, it's never too late. Never late to start PF. Never too late to make an updated guide. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. 5, goal is to get the clear, right? If you're a player, do your best to get the clear. If you're a creator, that should be your goal, to help people get the clear. Get your priorities straight. Let's wrap up with some plugs. So thank you for watching. You find my guides through YouTube. It's youtube.com/Rithley. If you thought any of this information was of value, or if you think any of my guides are of that value too, I highly recommend to check out the Patreon, and if you have the leisure, join it and support me through there. It'll literally support me to have the leisure and free time to make more and do more things like this. After this stream, I'm gonna go stream on the next line, twitch.tv Joon Clancy. Come hang out. I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. I play the game and raid. On Mondays I do last minute clears, help people and PF get their last minute clears. Lastly, if you want to follow on Twitter, it's JoonSide on X. It's 5 O's. You can see me post memes and nonsense there. Oh, thanks for linking that. Thank you. Oh, perfect. Blessed. Thanks again for having me. Hope you enjoyed that, and let's move on to Q&A. But thank you. That concludes the panel. Thank you. Let me get in game and do my. Let me see. Let me switch to this. Let me switch this full on in-game mode here. Oops, that's wrong. Thank you. Yeah. Alright, I'll take questions. I'll just read them off the by the line, like whatever is stage chat or stream chat. If you have any questions, I still have about 5 minutes, so let's make a good one. What's your all-time favorite Savage fight and why? Definitely, it's a toss-up between 3 fights: God Kefka, O8S Phase 2, E4S Titan, and O3S Halicarnassus. They're so well paced. It has nothing to do with difficulty per se. They're just really well designed, well paced, and they have extremely unique mechanics that they don't repeat anywhere. Those are the peak fights. And as a tank player, they're all really great tank fights. They're such a great fight to do as tanks. So, can you show Luki's adventure plate? We'll do. Let's see. Where is he? Is he here? Gotta scale that to 100 or 200. Yeah, thank you for the kind words. Sorry if I missed chat. I was doing my best to keep up with it, but if I missed it, I apologize. Any other questions? I can hang out and do photos if people want to. I know some people are talking about that. Oh yeah, to remind you, tomorrow there's a meet and greet. It's earlier on in the afternoon for me. It's also in Marlboro. Let me check the schedule again. If you wanna do an actual meet and greet thing with more free time, I'll be at Marlboro Lavender Beds Ward 1, and there's a whole ass like 3 hours, so we can hang out and you can ask questions there more leisurely, take photos, hang out, whatever. So, they have a favorite mount and minion in the game? It's probably this guy, this frog, Iron Frog Mover. I ride this all the time. Mostly because it's so small, it looks like it's moving fast. It looks really fast. This is my favorite minion. Or mount. Minion, I don't know yet. Minion, I don't have a good answer. Minion, I have to maybe look through. Maybe come back tomorrow and ask me in the meet and greet. I'll try to come up with an answer tomorrow. Bad Minion? Bad Minion for Batgirl. Are you excited for Echoes of Van Deal? I'm cautiously optimistic because I'm a big 11 fan. but I think Alliance raids are kind of lackluster content to depict the greatness of 11. I think Vana'diel should have been field content. I think they're kind of wasting Vana'diel on Alliance raid. I think they should have made the subject matter of field content Vana'diel, and Alliance raid should have been something else. So I want it to be good, but I'm a little bit cautiously, you know, kind of hope it's good, you know. Because field content would be such a happy marriage, I feel like, of that kind of content. Why? What's your favorite melee? Why the samurai? Because I've studied the blade, and that's the way it's gotta be. On the other hand, I feel that you provide better strats, but the PF adapts less optimal strats. How do you recommend helping PF change? Well, I think it goes down to what I said before, right? You just gotta keep doing the strats. You gotta like promote it. You gotta post the videos to places, and in PF you gotta actually wait and do those strats and show that these strats exist. Sometimes that's the only way, but word of mouth and actually doing the strats is probably the best ways. It's difficult though. It's definitely difficult to convince more people now because it's hard to combat the cult, right? It's not worth it. It's hard to combat a bandwagon than a few people. So sometimes you have to start small, right? Start with your friends first. You know, tell your friends to do these strats instead, and then maybe they do them too, right? So. Oh yeah, don't tell me about 11S. Yeah, we talked about 11S for a while. Yeah, M3S as well. Yeah, it's very recognizable, right? Do you have any jobs? I can see it comes to 14. Not an existing job, but one job I wanted as a healer was a bartender, healer, chemist. Like I wanted like a cool healer, so I wanted a healer that was like a bartender aesthetic, but it was healer rule. So you would like mix concoctions to heal your party members or like buff them. So it was like a mix of chemists from like 5 and 10, but you're a healer. Yeah, kind of like I guess like host job. So like you'd be doing this shit, right? And then you know if you've seen FFT, you throw the bottle at your teammate. So you're like you'll get a bottle thrown and you're like, oh god, and like, oh wait, that feels pretty good. like glass is shattering on you, so you're bleeding, and you got a piece of glass stuck in you, but you're also getting healed. So you're like, oh, it's not too bad. So that's kind of what I wanted. That was my healer dream job, but. But I'm of the opinion that they should add more original jobs to this game. I like when they try original stuff like Reaper, or like complete original interpretations like Sage. Sage doesn't even resemble what it is in FF3, so I like when they take complete liberties like that. Like Viper too. Viper is interesting. Right? It's kind of boring at the end of the day, but it's a pretty unique. You know, I would even argue Gunbreaker is a pretty cool interpretation of Squall Lionheart. The job, like that job is a Squall, right? They could have just called it Squall. You're just Squall Lionheart. So I like when they do stuff like that more than like trying to like take an existing archetype and try to like, you know, make it make sense too much. I like when they have their 14 take on it. So, one more minute. I guess like one more good one. Let's make it a good one. One last question. Let's make it a good one. And then I'll sign off and I'll see you guys tomorrow at the meet and greet hopefully. But yeah, thanks again for having me. It was fun. So I ended up maximizing my entire time. Interesting. Why is it Meditate not Japanese? What do you mean? Meditate is Japanese. What do you mean? You telling me this is Japanese? Meditate? Oh, that's a great question. Where can we find merch if you sell it? Type Joon.pizza. That's a real address. Go there. I make the merch there. As I said before, merch. I wouldn't make it if I didn't wear it. So go check it out. Can someone type in the chat? I'm planning to add more merch soon too. Oh, before it ends, okay. So guys are coming out. I'm planning on doing a streamathon very soon. It pertains to Ultimate. People have been asking me for an Ultimate guide for a very long time. I'm gonna do a streamathon type thing to raise funds so that I can do Ultimate and also maybe make a guide out of it. So if you're curious about that, follow the Twitter, follow the Twitch, follow that, right? And you'll hear more information from there. But I gotta go now. I think time's running out, right? Am I getting signed off? Wait, no, I still have time. Hold on. When is my thing in? Am I overtime? Can the mods tell me? Mods can boot me off when I'm done. I'll say my byes. Thank you everybody. Thank you for listening. It was fun. Thanks for having me. I'll be more than happy to do this again. You're on time. Thank you. All right, I'll say my goodbyes then. Before I get cut off. All right. Thanks 3B crew. I'm gonna be on my stream after this, so stop on by at Joon Clancy.